Hello everyone, this is your LAS Fan TV report. Back again with a new style that we're trialing out. See if you like it. If you do, great. If you don't, we're going back to the old ways. So, in order to help boost our visuals a bit and save you looking at my ugly mug week in, week out, we are trying, as you can see, a far more visual approach, and hopefully that will be a bit more pleasant for you all to look at while listening to my ever lovely voice. So, doing as we normally do, straight into the standards. A very typical lineup we had. Notable absence, of course, being McCormick, who it's quite possible is just out for work reasons, maybe injury, we don't know. We don't get paid enough to find out that stuff. Of course, as you can see, very standard lineup, a very strong lineup. And yeah, nothing beyond the unusual there. So let's take a bit more of a gander of how the game went, developing, as you can see, from start to finish. Now, of course, like all scores that are confirmed, we are looking at these through the official Game Day app provided in association with the NPL here in Victoria. So, yeah, go with that if you will. Now, of course, first of all, the first half. Only place really to start. Not a great deal of points in terms of action, but one where you saw a lot of the key build-ups happening and where we develop and play as a team. So that in itself is perhaps more important than, say, the general on and offs or getting goals, so on and so forth. It was very much a half where it was just about the build of play and trying to play the game how we like to play our football. And that is what is important. So, of course, we had things like Bubs being ever vocal in her presence, something that was mentioned quite not often by the commentary team for our weekend's fixture. On top of that, we have players like Melina Ayres ever pressuring the defensive line, which she's doing what she does, and she does it to a fantastic level. Chinema being a player of note who is very, very active in her defensive role and seemed to get to the ball almost always. Whenever the ball was coming back towards Bubs, towards the defensive line, more often than not, you're going to see Chinema, and she was there at the heart of the action. Looking more towards the midfield, Omia was very present in her presence, and she is definitely a player that you could easily see throughout the half who was building up the play, getting those balls across, and just making sure we were able to thread the ball from defence to the front line. Again, that's another player who in the midfield position was enabling that forward play and was very much running like a horse up and down the wing quite constantly. On top of that, Sakalas, another player who was in fantastic form for the half and the fixture as a whole, constantly at the centre of play, constantly making her presence known, and yeah, very, very impressive. And on top of that, we had Omia early on suffer a potential ankle injury, looking at how she went down and how she hobbled off the pitch a bit. And that did leave us with 10 players on the field for quite a while, which was certainly unnerving. But thankfully, we didn't suffer from that. So that's all good, at least not beyond the obvious consequences of potential longer term injury, being if it is an ankle, at least what seemed like an angel. This is, of course, where Chinema made her presence very much known, and she was putting in truly the hard yards, having to compensate for our midfield being down a player. Something alongside her colleague Alex Chill, which they both linked up tremendously and was that very present defensive force that ensured that we didn't cop one early or caught one while down a player. So very much it was a game for our defence from the first half. Another fantastic save by Barbieri as well. Perhaps not quite rivaling her earlier and extremely play save, but certainly not too far away in terms of quality. And of course, in the half, we had Pickett come on for Omia due to her sustained injury, which led to Pickett managing to twat it in just before the half-time whistle in injury time, set off the scores 1-0 for the first half. Now, looking towards into the second half, of course, as you would know by now, I can see as well, that there was a very much large differential between our success in the first and second halves. So let's try and break that down a bit and why that was the case. First of all, of course, there is those who were scoring, and that is the role of Ayres and Pickett. Now, while they did spread the goals out throughout the half, it was clear that they were the ones who were putting on a lot of pressure up front, something they couldn't do without their midfield. And of course, the rotation needed to allow for Pickett, who's a player who's perhaps a bit more up front, a bit more at the wings, as opposed to Omia, who's more of a defensive, well, not so much defensive, but more pulled back as it's supposed to be in the final third in her attacking play. This is where we saw players like Papasanis, who was coming up as well from unusual positions, making a great impact. Sakalis continuing to make a fantastic impact in the midfield. It certainly shows why Perth was so keen to sign her up for the upcoming W League season. Beyond that, pretty standard from the first half, much the same carrying on. Of course, we had the rest of our substitutions with Goff coming on for Lawson. We also had Haraxis on for Nat. But overall, quite standard, as we'll just decide to play the way we do. Beyond that, not much more can be said, aside from the fourth goal of fixture, which came about from perhaps the worst error we have seen from one of the more quality sides in this season, in which FV Emerging left the goal wide open, Pickett to swoop in and knock in a very, very jammy cherry. Beyond that, final score of 4-0, well deserved, but unfortunately, on the aggregate scores, we're still down 5-4 in Emerging's favour due to our early season struggle. And may we note, the only fixture we had dropped points all season. So that certainly shows how far we've come. On top of that, there is also the matter of our UCA victor, of which this was a very clear affair to who was the most deserving, at least in our eyes, and that was going towards Naomi Chinema, considering her immense defensive efforts and just how much her constant presence in the back line dictated the way we play and the end result. So of course, we all know how our game went, but how are the fixtures for the rest of the league? First of all, we had Bayside host Calder United at Kingston Heath. Calder United went on to win by a tremendous margin of 9-0, yet to best our score of 10-0 against Bayside in their continued race to oblivion. Heidelberg United hosted Alamein at Olympic Village, where they lost 3-0, with Alamein continuing to get their position sorted out a bit. FA Emerging, of course, hosting us up at Knox, and at the Veneto Club on a rare Sunday fixture for Bulleen, They went out 2-1 victors over Box Hill. So how does this link up for the table? Oh, of course, as we all know, South Melbourne is up top with 33 points with our 11 win margin. That's all plus 40 goal difference. Very healthy indeed. In second, we have Bulling Lions on 28 points. In third, we have Coolidge United on 25, which has seen both sides jump a fair merging due to our defeat of the side, dropping them now down to 4th place. In 5th, with Alamein in their battle for position against Heidelberg on 15 points. In 6th place and on 13 points, we have Heidelberg United. In 7th, remaining on 4 points and a minus 28 goal difference, we have Box Hill. And of course, we have Bayside United on minus 53 goals now. Poor old Bayside. So, looking ahead to this weekend, what do we have to look forward to? First of all, Saturday, 3:30 from Wembley Park, Box Hill United will host FV Emerging. From 4 p.m, we shall host Bayside from Lakeside. On the Sunday, from 3:15 at Olympic Village, Calder United will be away to Burgers. Now returning to their usual Monday fixtures, the Bulling Lions will be taking on Alamein FC. Now, of course, that is not the only football business this week that we need to pay attention to. For tonight, we have our big cup fixture against the Casey Comets down at Saloundra Reserve from 7:30 p.m. A couple of things of note, of course, is the fact that all fixtures tonight, as we also have our lads playing in the Doherty Cup, is that our games are behind closed doors. But, and fortunately for us, both the fixtures tonight are being streamed live via YouTube and Facebook through the usual channels. So make sure to enjoy those games tonight. As for our weekend fixtures ahead, we've yet to see confirmed whether or not that these will be behind closed doors. But we do believe that yes, it will be continued behind closed doors, as of last weekend, 2 weeks was the going around dates for this behind closed door period. But of course, if the facts change in our favour, we will make an announcement of such. But yeah, otherwise, we hope you enjoy tonight's Nike FC Cup fixture against Casey Comets, and that our girls can't triumph all in a hunt for the treble. So good luck to all tonight. May you all enjoy the fixture. Until then, we have been the LAS Fan TV. Come on, Hellas.